Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello and welcome to this broadcast or podcast or video for Black Tapes Season 1 Episode 4, Turn That Frown Upside Down. This has been enjoyable. I've been enjoying the experiencing this for the first time with everyone out there, and I appreciate and thank everyone that's been watching these videos, all my videos. So, without further ado, let's get into this.
Often need a way for people to expunge their fear of the inevitable. And sometimes the modes we choose to serve this function are odd because they come from our subconscious. The things
our subconscious can be a bit of pain in the backside.
that scare you will be different than the things that scare me.
And I think I said this in another video. There are things that just terrify the crap out of me that my wife is really, really blasé about. And there are things that scare the living bejesus out of my wife that I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's just, an example of that would be bees or flying insects of any kind just devastate my wife. Where wasp, bee, hornet, whatever. So, yeah, it is what it is. Our fears are our fears.
You can't explain why they scare you, but they do.
And that is why they're phobias.
So, what scares you?
Food poisoning.
Yes, food poisoning. Somebody that would go to Chipotle a lot would be really afraid of that, I guess.
When is this festival?
It starts tomorrow.
Yeah, the whole upside down face thing just kind of creepy.
You're going, aren't you?
Yep.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah, he's going.
Of course, I was going too, although it did take a few minutes to convince Strand.
Yeah, he probably played at getting convinced more than actually being convinced.
Charlesworth is small. It feels like one of those tiny towns in a Stephen King novel.
That right there should give you that should send up red flags and give you the heebie-jeebies and all kinds of stuff. Especially if the name of the place is Derry.
Somewhere in a strange, tucked-away little corner of Maine. Charlesworth has one gas station, and it hangs on the edge of town.
Wonder what kind of sewer system they have.
It has one pump and no sign. I found out later that town bylaws forbid the use of lighted signage for any business. It actually seems to work.
That's interesting. There's a whole lot of places like Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin that could probably use ordinances like that.
Giving it a genuine small town feel. Charlesworth proper has a population of 4,300, but it feels bigger because of the tourists in town for the festival.
And we have, mind you, Huntsville, Walker County, even when the students are here, well, I think our student population is bigger than that, just the college kids.
And they are, how do you say this politely? Enthusiastic.
Yeah. We have a big thing at the first weekend in November called Fair on the Square. And it's a real nice thing, but we get people up from Houston and people down from Dallas, Fort Worth, people as far west as San Antonio that come, and they are just, they're happy and they're just glad to be in Huntsville, and it's, yeah, I understand that.
Almost everyone's wearing a mask, except they're all upside down. It's like some kind of weird farm league Mardi Gras. Kind
of like Mardi Gras, brought to you by Stephen King and Peter Straub.
of Halloween meets Eyes Wide Shut.
That would be an interesting movie, to be honest with you.
Excuse me. Do you think the ghost with the upside down face really exists?
Yeah. I saw her once when I was coming home from the bar, and, that was scary as
Look, I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff coming home from bars, and I've written a lot of that off to my disassociation with sobriety at that point in my life. So, you know, it is what it is.
She's real, for sure. My mom drove me all the way to Michael's in Spokane so I could make my own mask this year. See?
What's there to know? Her mouth is where her eyes should be, and her eyes are where her mouth should be.
The woman who died at the bank last year, Fiona DeNevers. You need to talk to her sister.
Yeah, that should be interesting. When people start making suggestions like that, and if you're an investigative reporter, yeah, that just tingles all the spidey senses, I guess.
The dead woman's sister knows. She knows everything.
It's basically just a reason to get drunk. Really drunk.
I've talked to people, residents, locals here in Huntsville, that's them. They're like, yeah, we'll go to Fair and Square, don't buy shit except alcohol and get drunk. Because I can get drunk and walk up and down the streets and the cops won't mess with me. Yeah, the one day, it's one of those things. I guess you always have that little subsection in every crowd.
I know. Talk to the dead woman's sister. That's way too enticing not to follow up on.
Yep, that's what I said. It tingles all the spidey senses when you tell them that.
Strand didn't agree.
What's Fiona DeNevers' sister going to say? If she's looking for attention, she'll say it was a ghost and add some sort of cryptic nonsense to seduce you into exploring further. If she's telling the truth, she'll say it was a simple case of her sister having a heart attack. Sure, she was younger than normal, but it happens all the time, several times a day in the U.S. alone.
And he's right about that. As tragic and as sad as it is, there are people's hearts that just give out prematurely. 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, I think anything, just to be personal opinion, anything under about 60, your heart blows up like that, heart attack stops. Yeah, it's tragic. It's sad. But it happens.
The reason we're talking about it at all is because it happened in a town where there's an active legend of a scary, vengeful woman with an upside-down face.
And point number 2 taken. That's a second, really well pointed out point.
Sensational conclusions are almost inevitable here, I'm afraid. You're not convinced.
You know, I think I'd like to hear the sister's cryptic nonsense.
Yeah, if you're doing a show in this particular universe, you're doing this show, you got to worry about ratings and ad revenues. So, you go and you explore a little bit of that crazy stuff, knowing that it might be crazy, and you see how it lands with the audience.
Despite Strand's misgivings, I tracked down the sister of Fiona DeNevers, and what she had to say took me in a direction I didn't expect. This and more after the break. You're listening to the Black Tapes podcast.
Yeah, that's kind of... if you're expecting, you have choice 1, choice 2, then somebody comes up with a choice 3 you didn't even think of, that's always good. Or bad, depending on the situation.
Stay with us.
The Black
Black Tapes podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com
And
/The Black Tapes. This week we recommend...
yeah. Okay. We'll skip the... So, I'm trying to cut out the commercial. Dude, it's still good. I might have to go in and edit this part. I'm not sure. It's just that these commercials can be hard to thing in my audio player for some reason. My Audible player sometimes gets wonky, especially with this. But this and rabbits. Usually, like when I'm doing other things like the Gen X or the Kingdom of Fear, I can skip and there's few problems. But for some reason, I don't know if it's just screwing with me or if there's something I'm doing that I don't realize I'm doing. But it is what it is, I guess.
Died of a heart attack just over a year ago in the parking lot of a small bank in Charlesworth. She was only 23. Her older sister, Crystal, married and moved with her husband to Sacramento, where she works as a primary school teacher. I explained what we were doing with the podcast.
Primary school. I guess that's what my wife teaches, is primary. I don't know. Primary, secondary. I don't remember how all that's broken down now in this day and age. Is primary like high school or elementary? I don't remember now. I know college is higher education, so it is what it is.
After a few polite email exchanges, she agreed to see me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me about your sister. I'm sure it's been a tough year for your family.
Has it only been a year? It feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, sometimes... I know when my first wife passed, that first year seemed like it took 100 years, and every day after that felt like seconds. So it's just weird sometimes.
Did you speak with Fiona on a regular basis?
I'd like to clear something up before we go any further.
Oh, sure, of course.
I know the rumor is going around Charlesworth about our family and Catherine Williams and all that.
Okay.
You know, my grandmother wasn't part of that group.
That's... Okay, let's find out why that's important.
People just assume that because they want a better story to hang their nasty, gossipy hats on.
That's any town, anywhere, especially if you're in Texas or the South. Yeah, yeah. Now, I don't know how people in other states are, but I just know in Texas, the better the gossip, the juicier the gossip, the more takers you have.
Okay, what group?
It sounds like you're hearing this stuff for the first time.
Well, yeah, I just...
It is! Come on.
Just started asking questions.
You do know who my grandmother was, don't you?
No.
I'm sorry, I don't.
My grandmother's name was Glenda de Nevers. She was a friend of the homecoming queen.
Catherine Williams?
That is interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So what is it about this group and Catherine Williams, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, rumor has it that the ghost of Sarah Benning has been haunting the families and the descendants of everyone who tormented her while she was alive.
Well, that's stereotypical ghost trope, though.
So I was told that the festival is about Sarah Benning's revenge, cursing the ghost of Catherine Williams to haunt the townspeople of Charlesworth. A reminder of what they did to her.
Yeah, well, that's what they say, but they got it wrong.
Yeah, that's this I have a feeling this is going to get really interesting. But we're going to have to wait to the next episode. We're going to have fun and should be interesting. Good cliffhanger. This is, like I said, this is getting fun. So until next time, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?